Good Friday morning, everybody. This is Stephen Ray, and I hope everybody's doing quite well on this Thursday or Friday morning, I should say. And for today and overnight tonight, we have what is now an enhanced risk of severe storms for a good portion of East Texas, the majority of northern Louisiana, and a far southeastern portions of Mississippi. And this includes Vicksburg, Natchez, Mississippi, Jackson, Macomb, Brookhaven, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Alexandria, Shreveport, Ruston, and Monroe, Louisiana, for the potential of damaging straight line winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado threat. Now, I will tell you, with this one event, it looks like that we are actually going to have more of a straight line wind and large hail event, and the tornado threat will be on the lower end of things, but they cannot be completely ruled out, and especially here in the moderate risk area, or the enhanced risk area right here. So if you're watching me in Shreveport, Ruston, Monroe, Louisiana, Natchitoches, Alexandria, Baton Rouge, you guys are in the enhanced risk for severe storms later today and into the evening hours tonight. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take you region by region and go from Shreveport to New Orleans to Jackson to Birmingham, and let you guys kind of see what's going to happen as we go from today into the day tomorrow. Because as we move over here into Alabama, there are two areas and possible two rounds of severe storms that we will have to deal with here in our state locally. Okay, so here is the risk area. Let me just go ahead and go back. This is the risk area for the cities up here in the state of Louisiana. This is for the risk areas in the state of Mississippi. If you're watching me in Vicksburg, Natchez, Macomb, or on the far southwestern fringe of the Jackson metro area, you guys are in the enhanced risk for later this evening and overnight. If you're watching me basically from Canton, Mississippi, over to Laurel and Ellisville, and then Hattiesburg, and then curving down to Picayune, Mississippi, you guys are in the slight risk area, and then everybody else all the way up to just south of Oxford is in the marginal risk, and then Oxford, Tupelo, and northern Mississippi is in the general thunderstorm area for tonight and to the day tomorrow. So, let me take you back over here to the Shreveport, Louisiana area. As you can see, Texarkana, El Dorado, Arkansas, Tyler, Texas, Shreveport, Louisiana, Lumpkin, Texas, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Ruston, and Monroe. You guys are in the enhanced risk, and this is valid through 7 a.m. in the morning. Now, like I said, the tornado potential in Louisiana is low. Cannot be ruled out, but low. But the more significant threat from this event is going to be $50 to golf ball sized hail and winds gust of 70 to 80 miles per hour. winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour is nothing to play around with. So if you get a severe thunderstorm warning with winds upwards of 70 to 80, you need to treat this like a tornado warning, because that can do a lot of damage to roofs, siding, and obviously trees that will fall onto your home. Now, let me just go ahead and say this: damaging winds and isolated tornadoes are the primary threats, along with the maximum hail size of $half to golf ball sized hail. Locally, heavy rainfall is also possible, and this is from this afternoon through early Saturday morning for the Shreveport and northern Louisiana area. Now let's go further to the south. Let's go down here to the New Orleans and the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. If you were in downtown Baton Rouge, if you were in Brookhaven, if you were in Macomb, Mississippi, you guys are in the enhanced risk area as well. Threat levels of 3 out of 5 of severe weather for extreme northwestern portions of southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. And then for the rest of the area, let's see, Hammond, Louisiana, Slidell, Gulfport, New Orleans, and Huma, you guys are in the slight risk for a chance of severe storms. Now, if you were in the Baton Rouge, Macomb, Mississippi, or the Brookhaven, Mississippi area, you guys can expect to see damaging wind gusts in excess of 60, isolated tornadoes possible, and large hail up to golf ball sized or larger. And this does include the heart of the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area as well. Now, let's go further north into the Jackson, Mississippi area. Now, if you are over here from about the southwestern portions of the Jackson Metro over to Vicksburg, Natchez, and Brookhaven, you guys are in the enhanced risk for severe storms likely, damaging winds upwards of 70, tornadoes possible, and hail up to quarter-sized, but they could be larger. Everybody else, basically from the Highway 82 corridor, from Greenwood to Tupelo, Eupora, and Columbus points off to the south. You guys are in the slight risk, and this does include the Jackson Metro and the Pine Belt area of Mississippi. Severe storms possible, damaging winds upwards of 60 to 70, and tornadoes are possible. And then if you were up there in Cleveland, Mississippi, and points on off to the north, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible, damaging winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. Now, if you are in the delta of Mississippi, basically from the areas of Greenwood to Yazoo City and points off to the west, your threat is from 7 p.m. tonight until 1 a.m. in the morning. All right, if you are along the I-55 corridor that runs from Memphis to Jackson to Brookhaven, your threat is from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. And then over here for eastern Mississippi and the Pine Belt area of Mississippi, 12 a.m. until 6 a.m. is your threat for seeing severe storms here in East Mississippi. Now, let's move. I also need to mention that regardless of whether you see severe weather or not, there is a significant threat of flooding that is possible across a good portion of Mississippi. And this is basically from the cities of Purvis, Mississippi, all the way up to the Highway 82 corridor. So one more time, if you were from Purvis north to the Highway 82 corridor, 2 to 4 inches of rain are possible, with isolated higher amounts very possible. Areas of flash flooding is possible. Some roads may be flooded and or possibly closed. And this is from tonight into the Saturday morning hours. So remember, when you're driving and you see a flooded water or flooded road, turn around, don't drown. Remember, that is the monitor from the National Weather Service. When flooded roads, turn around and don't drown. Okay, so let's now move over here into Alabama. Now, like I said, there are 2 rounds of severe storms that are going to be coming in, and I will show you on the models here in just a second what I mean by that. And as you can see for Saturday, and this would be with the early morning system and the afternoon round, you can see basically from just south of Florence and Russellville all the way down to the coast, a good portion of Alabama has been placed underneath a slight risk for the potential of damaging straight line winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes are possible. It looks like that the tornado threat will mainly be with the morning round, and then the afternoon round could be a large hail producer into the afternoon hours tomorrow. So here is the threat from the National Weather Service in Birmingham, and this is for the Saturday afternoon time frame from noon tomorrow until 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Golf ball sized hail are larger and damaging winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. There is a low chance of a tornado because when severe storms do become severe, they often can produce tornadoes without warning. So I'm not going to say that there's no tornado threat tomorrow, but it is extremely low. But once again, that is one thing that we will have to watch for is the extremely large hail tomorrow and the damaging winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And just like I showed over here in Mississippi, 2 to 4 inches of rain, when we move over here into Alabama, basically, if you were from the city of Tuscaloosa and points off to the south to a place of around Grove Hill or Thomasville, right there in the Black Belt area of central and southern Alabama, you can expect to see 2 to 3 inches of rain with this storm. Now, if you were over here around the Montgomery metro area, Selma, Clanton, Alexander City, and Auburn, you guys can see upwards of 3 to 4 inches of rain with this system. And then, of course, if you're in northern Alabama, the amounts go less and less. And if you're down here towards the coast, your threat is less and less. So that is the heavy rainfall potential that we have to deal with. So regardless of whether you see severe weather or not, this is definitely going to be a heavy rain producer and the outside chance of seeing flash flooding. And this goes from 7 p.m. this evening through 1 a.m. on Sunday. So this is going to be a prolonged rain event with heavy rain moving in from time to time, and especially as we get into the early morning hours, and then, of course, tomorrow afternoon. Okay, so let me take you through the models, and I'm going to do the North American model, and I'm going to also show you the high resolution model as well, the HRRR. Okay, so first we're going to start with the NAM. And as you can see, this right here is going to be valid at 6 p.m. tonight. And as you can see, rain and thunderstorms are ongoing across northern Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Now we move it out here. Let's see, to 11 p.m., and storms are really starting to get going around Ruston and Monroe, Louisiana, and then there's some light rain and moderate rain falling in the Jackson, Mississippi metro area and across the central and northern portions of Mississippi. All right, and then we move to 2 a.m. in the morning, and rain and storms, just regular rain and thunderstorms, are getting it over here into West Alabama. Your severe weather would be over here near Philadelphia, Mississippi, Kosciuszko, Mississippi, and then all this stuff back here across central and northern Louisiana. We would have to watch that for the potential of severe storms. Now, let's move to 6 a.m. in the morning, and we have a line of nasty storms. Let me see if I can actually zoom in on this and make it bigger for you. And yes, I can. As you can see, right there, just off to the south of Tuscaloosa at 6 a.m. in the morning, we have a pretty nasty line of storms moving into the area, and those could contain a couple of hailstones, gusty winds, and of course, an isolated tornado threat with it. So there is 6 a.m. in the morning. And as you can see right there, this is a batch of storms that would be lined up at 6 a.m. in the morning, basically from Northport all the way down to a place between Utah and Greensboro. And then we would have other storms that are firing basically from Philadelphia, Mississippi, all the way back into Natchez, Louisiana. So that is the situation there. And then we have to watch and see how the atmosphere responds to this sign of weather, because we could get more development later on in the afternoon. Okay, so now let's move to 11 a.m. in the morning. And as you can see, clearing here in Tuscaloosa and points over here in Mississippi as well. So this is going to be 11 a.m. And then by the time we move into tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m., we have more storms that are firing over here in central Mississippi. And these would be the ones that would produce supercells. And when you get supercells in an environment like this, tomorrow afternoon, I really feel like if this verifies that we would have a situation like we had a couple of weeks ago, where we would have isolated extremely large hail up to baseball size in some locales, in some locations as well, because this atmosphere tomorrow afternoon could be very volatile in the event we could have damaging straight line winds and large hail and the outside risk of a tornado. And let's see, right now, what I've got here is at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and there are storms that are lined up from Tuscaloosa back to Philadelphia, Mississippi, and this is along the actual cold front that is actually going to be moving through the area. So we move a little bit further on, and we move out to 5 p.m. And as you can see, the storms are basically lined up from Anniston all the way back down to Linden and then back to Natchez, Mississippi. But I do note that there are more storms firing up over here across northern Mississippi, and then of course this one up here on the Lamar-Pickens County line. All right, so we step it on out a few hours later, and these storms that are over here in Mississippi, they actually do move into Tuscaloosa tomorrow night around 9 o'clock. And I think that would be the last of the severe weather about 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow. Now, I will say this. I will caution you about this because the storms tomorrow are going to be very conditional. And the reason I say that is because we don't know how the atmosphere is going to respond to the heavy rainfall that is supposed to be coming through in the early morning hours. And if you get a lot of heavy rain like that, the atmosphere may not be able to recharge. But by the time we get storms that are going to fire, so it's going to be real interesting to see if the atmosphere can recharge and how quickly it can recharge before the actual front moves into the area. But for one more time, I do want to say that there is a decent possibility of large hail and damaging straight line winds tomorrow, and some of those hailstones tomorrow afternoon, if these storms do get going, could be upwards of 2 inches in diameter or larger, because that is the kind of atmosphere that we are going to have around the area tomorrow afternoon, and that can do some serious damage to, roofs, sidings, and cars. So no doubt this afternoon and this evening, you're going to want to move your car into a safe location just in case we do have very large hail in the morning hours. Okay, so that was the 3-kilometer NAM. Now let's move over here to the HRRR, and we're going to start this at 6 p.m. this evening. And as you can see, there are storms that are basically lined up from north of Lake Charles over here to just off to the west of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as we step this on along, you can see that the majority of these severe storms with the HRRR stays basically from Tuscaloosa and points south. Now, as we get to 4 a.m. in the morning, you can see that there is a line of storms that is coming in from about a place near Coker, Alabama, which is in Tuscaloosa County, and stretching all the way back into the Pine Belt area, down through Meridian, and then back across to Brookhaven and Natchez, Mississippi. And then we have another batch of storms that is from the Montgomery Metro down to Bruton, Alabama, and then curving back into northern Florida. And those would possibly be severe. And then we have another batch that is coming through Arkansas at that point, and then getting over here into northern Louisiana. Okay, so that batch moves out, and then by 10 a.m. in the morning, we have more storms that are firing back over here in Mississippi, and then a couple over here in West Alabama. And then they really get going as well. And then you can see those move on off. But then we have to watch. Now, of course, this right here is 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. You would have storms basically lined up from Birmingham curving down to Auburn. You would also have a couple of storms in northern Marengo County around Linden. But you also notice the batch of storms that is over the Memphis, Tennessee area. And watch what happens as I step this on out. Watch out, because now that batch of storms moves into far northern Alabama near Florence, Russellville, Killen, and places like that. Red Bay, Alabama as well. And then those progress on off and will ultimately wind up and affect Coleman and places like that, and also the Huntsville metro area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And this is valid for 7 p.m. tomorrow. And if that verifies, these storms that are moving up here into northwest Alabama tomorrow afternoon would be capable of producing extremely large hail and damaging straight line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And as you note, there are a couple of storms that are trying to get going on the Tuscaloosa-Jefferson County line as well. So if you don't want severe weather here in Tuscaloosa, the HRRR is what you want, because it does look like all of the severe weather forms off to the south of Tuscaloosa and then pushes on off to the south and east. And if you do want severe weather, then you would want what's happening on the NAM model run. So one more time, I do want to mention that there are potentially 2 rounds of severe storms. One of them comes during the pre-dawn hours in the morning. This right here is valid at 6 a.m. in the morning. We have a batch of severe storms or heavy storms that would stretch from about Northport in Tuscaloosa all the way down to in between Utah and Greensboro, and then another batch of heavy storms from Kosciuszko, Mississippi, all the way back to the Jackson Metro, and then back into Natchez, Mississippi. And then that, of course, would move on across and continue to push on off. And then, of course, we would get into clearing later in the afternoon, and then more storms would fire around 1 or 2 p.m. So it is going to be a very, very interesting situation, to say the least, for a lot of areas. Now, like I said, I do not think that this is going to be a major tornado setup. However, I will caution you that damaging straight line winds of 70 to 80 can do just about as much damage as a lower end tornado. So one more time, Shreveport, Louisiana, Ruston, Monroe, Natchitoches, Alexandria, Fort Polk, and the Baton Rouge metro area, you guys are in the enhanced risk for severe storms later today. And this does include Lumpkin, Texas, and Tyler, Texas. If you are over here in Mississippi, if you are over here in Vicksburg, Natchez, Macomb, or Brookhaven, you are in the enhanced risk for later today, tonight, and into the early morning hours tomorrow for severe storms capable of producing isolated small tornadoes, extremely large hail, and damaging straight line winds. I intend to do another video update this evening about 8 o'clock. I will continue to watch trends as they continue to become available, and it's going to be real interesting to see what the next few model runs show before the storms actually get going. And before I let you guys go, I do want to also do this. Your screen is going to go dark here for just a second, and I apologize about that. I am switching the screen, and I'm actually going to go over here to the radar and actually let you see something real quick before I sign off and let you guys go. Okay, so here is the radar that we have right now. Okay, and we actually absolutely have nothing going on the radar right now. But what I did want to show you is there is your enhanced risk of severe storms. And this orange shaded area, this orange circle, if you guys are southwest of Shreveport, if you are basically in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area, if you curve up here north of Beaumont, over here to Tyler, Texas, there is your brand new enhanced risk of severe weather from Tyler and Toole, Texas, all the way over here to just off to the west of Hattiesburg, and it does now include the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area. So there is your new enhanced. There is your new slight risk that does come up here into Yazoo City, Mississippi, and Canton, Mississippi as well. So there is your new outlook of categories of severe storms later today and tonight. So this is brand new from the Storm Prediction Center. So if you're in Natchez, Brookhaven, Hattiesburg, Lumberton, Macomb, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Fort Polk, Natchitoches, or Carthage, Texas, Tyler, Texas, or Lumpkin, Texas, you guys are in the threat for a significant severe weather potential tonight and into the early morning hours tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will continue to do updates as needed here only on my Facebook page. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys back here for another severe weather update tonight at 8